to be the cleanest, correct?
Yeah.
The easiest.
It would, and then for the website, you can just paste the link in there and it'll automatically
We've
update
had
it.
issues uploading every other batch of census that have been too large.
Okay, well, it's recording, so we're gonna edit this out. But thank you all for being here. My name is Whitney Hansen. I founded Whitney Hansen Coaching, a business that teaches high school students and millennials how to manage their money. So coming into Venture College, I'm going to tell you the story about how I discovered it and how I started to go through the application process. Initially, I had planned on climbing the corporate ladder. I went back to school for my MBA, and I was planning on truly climbing as high as I possibly could. I didn't really think that I had the opportunity to start my own business until I heard about Venture College. It was pitched to me in my class, and it was a project that I thought, maybe I could turn this passion of mine into an actual business. So I applied and went through the process, and it's important to note that throughout the MBA program, we focus heavily on the business model campus. So going into this, I was very familiar with all of the different processes and the lingo, but I can honestly say that Venture College has helped me really develop and refine my ideas a lot more than in the academic setting. So when I initially came to Venture College, my idea was pretty lofty. I had 4 different workshops I wanted to teach to high school students and college students and anybody else in the entire world, because I thought my market was everybody. And after really refining these ideas a little bit more and diving in and talking with a lot of different customers, I found that there was a lot of interest. People did care about goal setting, time management, financial literacy, and finding their purpose in life. But the interesting one to everybody was more about financial literacy. That's where everybody really was very intrigued, and they said, this is all great, but I would prefer to learn more about this. So that's all where my idea stemmed from. But I'm going to tell you guys the story about how I came to this business idea, because it's a little bit interesting and a little bit unique. So I graduated from Burley High in 2006. And I didn't really have a family support system or the financial support system to help me get through college. So I was forced to figure it out on my own. I moved to Boise the night of graduation, and I missed my high school party, which was a huge bummer at the time. But I started cosmetology school the very next day. So what that mini career did for me was it actually, by August of 2006, I was licensed, I was employed, and I began my college career at Boise State. So I was able to purchase my first home when I was 19 because of this tech trade. Fast forward to 2010, I graduated from Boise State with my bachelor's in accounting, and I was so proud of myself for being the first in my family to graduate college. But I couldn't celebrate quite yet because I had close to $30,000 in debt. As a 22-year-old, $30,000 is a ton of money. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, it was a ton of money. And I remember holding that bill and thinking, what the heck did I do? What was I doing through undergrad? So I quickly realized again, that was so much money. So I worked 2 different jobs. I landed a job as a staff accountant right out of college. And I continued working at the salon that I had dreamed of quitting for about 4.5 years. But I was able to pay off the entire $30,000 in 10 months. So I had a lot of friends and family ask me for help with their own financial plans, and then that's when I had my aha moment. I thought, maybe I could turn this into a business, and I truly do love this. So that's all surface level stuff, right? We always have a deeper reason why we do what we do, what makes us tick. The real reason that I teach financial literacy is because I watched my mom stay in an abusive and addictive relationship for far too long because she didn't have the financial means to leave the situation. She finally divorced, leaving her a single mom with 6 mouths to feed. There's 6 of me. And for a little tiny period of time, we moved to Boise, and we actually slept on the floor. We were that poor. And I remember one day my mom and I were walking, and we found a mattress in the garbage can. And so disgustingly enough, a lot of people think that's really gross. We were thrilled. We were really excited about that. So that taught me my first personal finance lesson. The true difference between wants and needs. So that is truly the reason why I do what I do. because when I was 17 or 16 or 17, I vowed to myself that I would never be stuck in a situation because of personal finance, something that's 100% in my control. So that is my journey to starting my business in a nutshell. That's why I do what I do. And I know that we all have our own personal stories that actually drive us every day into what business we want to start. So I would highly suggest really reaching deep and finding that reason. So here I am, an MBA student, learning about the business model canvas and trying to turn my brilliant idea of teaching 4 different workshops into a live business and start my own thing. And so I turned to the business model canvas to help me validate my ideas. I had 2 assumptions at first. I thought my customer segments were high school students and parents of high school students. So I started interviewing people. I talked to about 10 parents initially and about 10 high school students. And here's what I found. Parents love the idea. Parents really truly wanted their kids to be financially independent and learn a little bit more about financial literacy. They helped me really narrow down that segment of, we care about finding your purpose, time management, and goal setting, but we really want to know more about personal finance. So that helped me really narrow down my focus a lot more. And what I found from the high school students was they were very interested in learning how to pay for college and go off on their own as well, but there was a big problem. They're high school students, they don't have any money, they're broke. So I immediately had to invalidate high school students as one of my customer segments. It's important to note that they're actually still a key influencer. They do have a really large part in that decision-making process. And then I found a couple different things. I started to think about, what are my value propositions? How do I reach these different customers? And so it took a little while after interviewing some high school parents, but what I found was that they actually truly want their kids to stay out, move out, and not ask for money at all during college. And I had to dig deep for that, guys. It was actually really hard for them to admit that. High school students, this one's kind of funny. It's almost my embarrassing duh moment. But initially, I thought high school students wanted to be financially independent and learn how to pay for college and do all these really great, lofty financial goals and become wealthy. And when I asked them this, they kind of looked at me a little glazed over and said, we just want to learn how to move out and pay for school. So I further refined my value proposition for high school students as well. So here I am, I have a pretty good idea of who my customer is, what the value propositions are, and I was ready to start my first mock workshop. So just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, it's kind of funny. I started my workshop with my mom, my fiance, and my little sister, who was a high school student, in my living room. And we went through about an hour of a workshop. And so afterwards, I asked them, what do you guys think would be fair to pay for this? And my mom, bless her heart, said nothing. I didn't think I would pay for it at all. And so that was kind of a, well, dang moment. So I had to really start refining and thinking, what can I do to make this more valuable? So first thing I realized was, one of my key resources, I need a place to host my workshops, right? My living room wasn't going to cut it anymore. And I also learned that I needed a workbook. I needed something tangible for people to take notes on and to help me follow along with the process of the workshop as well. I did not have that my first workshop. So I created a mini little workbook, which I was totally embarrassed about. It was cardstock, and the perfectionist side of me came out, and I was just almost like, oh, should I really be launching this? But I did it anyways to a group of my venture college friends, and I got some great feedback, was able to refine the process more, and then I was ready to start testing this to see if people would actually pay. So I created another workbook that was a little bit more professional, one that I felt comfortable putting out to the world, and I partnered up with with BizPrint to help me print a bunch of different workbooks. The workbook cost was actually pretty expensive at first because I was doing such a small quantity. One of my mentors suggested doing very small batches instead of doing 100 workbooks because it had changed so much already. It was likely going to change more in the future as well. So partnered up with BizPrint, and I found that each workbook was going to cost me about $10. So that's great. I was ready to move on. I knew that if I charged $20, I would have a little bit of money in my pocket and I would cover my costs. So I put out a flyer on Facebook to see if anybody was interested. My first paying workshop, I had 5 people, and I made $100. Not a lot, but it was a really good learning experience. So that's kind of a really overview of where I started. My business has developed a lot since then, and it's definitely taken a lot of different directions. One of the interesting things that I wanted to know is at the end of 2014, I had directly spoken with and worked with 152 people. So that was pretty exciting to me. That number has since grown actually quite significantly. So I'm going to give you an idea of this is what I consider one of my MVP, my minimum viable product. This website that I have cost me $0, totally free. What happened is I partnered with somebody, a local company, and we traded. It was just an exchange of resources. I had a different skill set that he was interested in, so we traded and I got a free workshop. So this is my minimum viable product currently because it didn't cost me anything. So just to give you an idea of my revenue generators now, I have partnered with Boise State University to provide workshops for college students. So any of the Boise State students were allowed to take my workshop. This actually, in hindsight, rolled out in January, February, so it was pretty exciting. I have an online workshop now where people can go and directly sit on their couch, drink their wine or coffee, and take my workshop. I also do a lot of one-on-one coaching sessions. That is probably one of my primary revenue generators at the moment. So that is a little overview of my business model journey. I can honestly say that my canvas would be full of red if I showed you all of the different pivots and invalidations I made. So for your own eyes, I choose not to show you all of the different pivots I've made, but I just want to let you guys all know that this is an evolving process. What I showed you today is already changed. Every day it's changing a little bit more, every single day. But that is my journey through the business model canvas and through Venture College. Thank you guys all so much for being here.
I wish you guys could have heard her first pitch. She was scared.
I always get scared.
I
do.
Scared. And to come in here, even in her pitch to get into Venture College, you made an amazing journey.
Oh, and then the pitch for Venture College, I remember sitting here going, oh yeah, I have to edit it out. Yeah.
So, you know,